When it comes to neglected Capcom franchises, one of the big examples you can think of is probably Asura's Wrath. Asura's Wrath is a 2012 story-driven brawler game produced by Capcom and CyberConnect 2. It's also a megalophobe's worst nightmare cause, well, I feel like it speaks for itself here. So basically, they took the concept of God of War, added Dragon Ball Z elements to it, and just cranked it up to 11. Seriously, I still have yet to see a game that rivals the scale of Asura's Wrath. But if this game's really so big and epic, then why is no one talking about it? Well, it's mainly because of that shit marketing, the true finale was behind the price DLC, and it only sold 180,000 units in total. But in recent years, this game got a good bit of attention for whatever reason. I mean, there was the death battle episode between Asura and Kratos that came out earlier this year, which is probably how most of you know this game even exists. Regardless of whether you agree with the verdict or not, it did bring attention to Asura's Wrath. And a bunch of toxic power scaling fanboys because Kratos was present, but that's irrelevant. This video will be divided into 5 parts, each going over a specific factor about the game, and the outro. But yeah, let's get right into it. The gameplay in Asura's Wrath is basic, to say the least. Think like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but less interesting. That's the combat system of Asura's Wrath in a nutshell. A button masher with basic controls, and no unique combos, or a smokin' sexy style tiering system. That's kinda all there is to it. But this game does make up for it with its dominance in QTEs, where there's no effect if you fail. Maybe that's another reason why this game did so poorly. But hey, I won't admit defeat just yet. There is another factor which I say makes Asura's Wrath. Besides the QTEs, the story is a factor in Asura's Wrath that takes priority. I won't take an in-depth analysis of the story like I usually do, since I feel like the only reason you're watching this video is because you already played the game yourself and want to see what other people have to say about it, which is where I admittedly struggled with while making this video. So instead, I'll just go over very specific beats and give my commentary. But if for whatever reason you haven't played this game, whether it be you don't care about spoilers or you simply don't have the platforms required to play the game, I am gonna say one thing. This game is not just screaming and punching bitches in the face. Well, there's a lot of that, but it's also a compelling story about family and revenge, love and hatred, sorrow, and wrath. But yeah, we got the 8 Guardian Generals, most of which are based on the 7 deadly sins. Deus is pride, August is greed, Wyzen is violence, Sergei is vanity, Olga is lust, Kalro is sloth, Yasha is melancholy, which I know isn't one of the 7 deadly sins, but it is one of the 8 evil thoughts, which is where the deadly sins evolved from in the 6th century. And at last, we get to Asura, who is very clearly gluttony. Nah, I'm just pulling your dick, it's wrath. It's wrath. But despite having a similar affiliation, Asura isn't like the other demigods. He married a hot wife named Durga, and had a daughter named Mithra. But the demigods had a lot of interest in Mithra. Not like that, I see you degenerates in the comment section. Ahem. Deus wants to use her as a human battery to gather enough mantra to kill the Vlitra. There, no more innuendos. Does it sound like an objectively bad idea? Well, going off what is seen later in the game, it's probably not necessary, but since Deu is lazy as shit, yeah, maybe it is a good idea. But is it right? Well, if you're a rational human being, you would probably say, yes! Yes! That's kind of the plot of this game in a nutshell. The Guardian Generals, who now call themselves the 7 deities, say they're doing it for a grand cause, while Asura punches them and shouts more slurs than a 10-year-old in a Call of Duty online server. But 12,000 years after this betrayal is when Asura's Wrath gets wild. The first boss of the game, Wyzen, dwarfs the planet in size and tries to crush Asura with his finger. This scene is so peak, Journey to the West Conquering the Demons outright copy-pasted this scene right here. Some of you might say size doesn't matter, which is probably why you're single, I'll be real with you, but that right here is why this scene is peak. But if you think Wyzen had it bad after getting exploded by a single punch, imagine getting hit like that, right in the balls. Oh wait, Ryu already felt that. And that's something we'll get to later. But Asura comes back after taking a 500-year nap, thanks to that bitch Yasha, and there's a cute little subplot about a human who eerily looks like Mithra, which definitely ends with her peacefully dying from old age in Hawaii. Oh, and by the way, the 7 deities still call themselves the 7 deities, even though Wyzen's been dead for 500 years. I don't know why, maybe they're just fucking stupid, but whatever. After giving Kaluro the Paragus treatment, we get to August, which, not gonna lie, I'm getting a lot of Kenpachi Zaraki vibes from this guy. But yeah, his fight was pretty cool, and just like Wizen, saying it's over the top is a fucking understatement. But I think my personal favorite part of this game is the crash out. Remember the girl that looks like Mithra? Well, she faced the fate of a cow, killed for her resources. And thanks to that, we get the scene that had Liam O'Brien coughing up blood. Stay hydrated, kids. Okay, so how's the weather, guys? But yeah, I don't think I need to go into why the scene was so peak. This has got to be one of the best voice acting I've ever seen in a video game, and all it is screaming. Well, to be fair, this is a Dragon Ball Z fan talking, so I might be a bit biased here. But regardless, I've seen a lot of crash outs in media over the years, and this is clearly a very justified one. But goddamn, I haven't seen this much unadulterated rage and sorrow since Gwen Stacy got dicked down by the Green Goblin. No, seriously, this was actually a thing in the comics. Since past, look it up. But anyway, we get to that bitch Yasha who knew Sergei killed his sister Durga and kidnapped his niece, but went along with it anyway cause again, he's a bitch. But after a couple episodes, Asura comes back to his senses, so all is well that ends well, right? But Yasha stops being a bitch and teams up with Asura to beat the fuck out of Deus, which they do successfully.
So naive. It is too powerful. You will never defeat it. Only I can.
Then why couldn't you just do that 12,500 years ago and save us all the trouble, you fat lazy fuck? Also, I don't think it's a coincidence Bleacher looks like Asura's Berserk form when you fight him. But hey, we get a nice happy ending, Mithra is reunited with Asura, and the good guys have won. Now we just gotta get through the DLC that was meant to be a sequel to wrap up the story, but Capcom decided fuck it and released the true finale behind a paid DLC.
So you made it back. Both of you.
Oh yeah, Olga's still alive. She's so little of a character, I forgot she even existed, not gonna lie. Okay, now all the bad guys are dead. Now we just gotta deal with Chakravartin, who's literally God. Not like how the 7 deities are gods, like this guy literally created the universe. But of course, you know how this goes. Mithra pulls a Princess Peach and gets kidnapped again, and Asura wants to punch him in the face but fails. And after having one final bout with Yasha, Asura becomes planet-sized and flies towards Chakravartin. And I'll be real with you, this whole sequence feels like some shit out of Gurren Lagann, I swear. I mean, this bitch literally dwarfs galaxies, bro. And of course, we have to have a literal fistfight with God, but not before Asura smiles and extends his arm. But Chakravartin just had to be a bitch and hits Asura's fist with his face. What a fucking asshole, am I right? But eventually, Chakravartin starts using his own QTEs after turning into a skeleton man, which is a concept I love. What happened to giving final bosses their own QTEs? Like, I don't know if it's just me, but that's such a cool concept that I don't see a lot. But eventually we skull fuck him and land the final blow despite Mithra's warning. Now this is Father of the Year. Bro literally killed God and sacrificed himself, all because Chakravartin made his daughter cry. What a fucking goat. And not gonna lie, seeing Asura's eyes returning to normal as he says his wrath is gone hits very hard. But despite being a paid DLC, I believe this was a great finale. A nice bittersweet ending that wraps the story up neatly with a bow and even gives us a teeny tiny little time skip with the characters being reincarnated into the Street Fighter universe millions of years later. Speaking of Street Fighter, you did not think I was going to cover this, did you? Well, there isn't a lot that happens. You fight Ryu for 2 rounds, the first one being with Street Fighter gameplay, with the second one being against Evil Ryu with Asura's Wrath gameplay, where you knee him right in the balls. Then the absolute GOAT Akuma joins in and kicks Ryu back to the Street Fighter universe and trades blows with Asura. The structure is similar to the Ryu fight, but this time, Akuma transforms into Oni and Asura uses his Mantra Asura form. This fight is so grand, not only is the moon absolutely fucked, but their fight ended up being a 500-year stalemate that ends off on a cliffhanger. But yeah, I don't have much to say about this section. It was pretty solid, but I do have more to say in this next section here. I know this doesn't really have much to do with the game itself, but there is something that consistently gets brought up in the community that I would like to give my take on. There's a vocal group of people who want an Asura's Wrath sequel, but to be honest, I don't think the narrative in the game really warrants a sequel. I mean, where would a sequel even go with the franchise? We already killed capital G God, and everyone's been reincarnated and living normal lives now. So, what, Chakravartin is apparently not that strong and in fact the weakest out of, say, 7 gods that are in a whole different league from the 7 deities? Like, I lost brain cells just from saying that. There's also the possibility of telling a story about Asura's reincarnation, but not gonna lie, it kind of feels like that would be a Force Awakens sequel, where it would basically be a retread of the original story, you know? I would say a remaster would be the way to go. That way it could be played on modern consoles and run above 720p. Or maybe a full-blown remake that doesn't change the story in any way, but just fixes the gameplay, namely the combat sections. Doesn't have to be much, just add in interesting combos and it would be fine. But unfortunately, I don't believe a remaster or a sequel is likely. As I mentioned earlier, this game only sold 180,000 units, and not too long ago, Capcom released a survey asking various questions about their IPs, and I'll be honest, it's not looking good. The death battle just might be the last we ever see from Asura, to be honest. Yes, the video got around 3 million views, but let's be honest, most of those clicks were for the guy that got his ass kicked by Shovel Knight. But despite all that, I will hold out hope. If Okami, a Capcom game that was released back in 2006, can get a sequel, then I don't see why Asura's Wrath can't get a remaster. Also, for fuck's sake, put Asura in the next Marvel vs. Capcom when y'all decide to take a break from remaking the whole Resident Evil franchise. Asura's Wrath is a very fascinating game. The scale is over-the-top insanity that to this day is unrivaled. The story is beautiful and emotional, and overall, it's just goated, as the kids say. Again, the gameplay does hold it back for me, but all in all, I think the story and the cinematic cutscenes make up for it. So to plug it all in, I rate Asura's Wrath a 9 out of 10. We really need more games like this. I mean, I guess the closest I can think of is Final Fantasy XVI, which is a game I also love, but I rest my case. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed revisiting this game and plan to do so again in the future. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say, so I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya, chump!